So never mind that nearly every case of SIDS occurs after a round of vaccines. Never mind that SIDS, autism, ADD, asthma, and multiple other chronic conditions begin to skyrocket in our children right along increasing the vaccine schedule. But again, total coincidence according to the experts. Nothing to see here. There is so much to learn, but please don't think you'll ever get the truth from our corrupt Department of Health or see actual facts reported on the news. I mean, I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but you guys know that the majority of advertising revenue comes from the drug companies who make exorbitant profits on these products. So what you definitely look at are live citizens and this seems to be more brazen by a thing. The current censorship of vaccine truth on social media shows just how desperate they are to keep the truth hidden. So I realize that many of you are waking up to this knowledge and that you were also misled. As healthcare workers, you pursued your career because you wanted to help people and protect them from harm. You probably thought those of us in the vaccine injury world, also known as anti-vaxxers, were just crazy conspiracy theorists. But please know that we have always spoken out so loudly because we didn't want your children to suffer the way our children did. We watched our kids deteriorate before our very eyes after vaccines, and then we were victimized again by pharma-funded media and government who swept those injuries under the rug. Today you're going to hear from some brave doctors who do tell the truth and who do provide informed consent for their patients. Yet in our corrupt and upside-down world, they are the ones getting reported to the medical board. It has to end, you guys. It is time every parent, student, patient, and employee in this state we need to fight back, and we need to report what's really going on. The bullying, the coercion, and the outright lies being told by doctors, schools, and government entities about the safety and efficacy of vaccines. The Minnesota Freedom Action Network has a list on their website with links to where you can report coercion and medical abuse by schools, daycares, and employers. So check that out, mnfan.org, there you go. So anyway, those of you who are into the fight for freedom and bodily autonomy may think that certain vaccines are beneficial for certain people. You may believe the benefits outweigh the risks overall, but in today's polarized world, you simply want to decide when it's appropriate to receive a particular vaccine. Guess what? You're an anti-vaxxer. If you don't want to be forced to take an experimental medical procedure known to cause harm and death, and for which there is no liability to the manufacturer, guess what? You're an anti-vaxxer. If you believe that no employer has the right to force a vaccine as a condition of employment, what are you? And do you believe people should have the freedom of speech?
That's why I was going that way. Get a picture with him.
And Jim has been contracted.
We'll get a picture.
Can you hear me out there? Hey, welcome. What a crowd. In Minnesota, the people still matter. Hey, never mind the fence. The capital still belongs to us. The state and the Minnesota Department of Health have not told us the full story about COVID vaccines. They can actually be quite dangerous to some people, but over and over we are told that they are safe and effective. The news proclaims that the vaccines are safe and effective because that is what the Minnesota Department of Health told them. Former Governor Plenty, PJ Fleck, Lindsay Whalen, and rapper Dessa proclaimed that the vaccines are safe and effective because that is what the Minnesota Department of Health told them. There used to be something called informed consent. Wow. That was when you and your informed independent doctor sat down and discussed your case and treatment options. Here he told you about the risks and benefits, and together you decided on the best course of action. Not these days. The slogan, vaccines are safe and effective, has replaced those discussions, even in the face of very real severe adverse reactions and deaths directly attributable to the COVID vaccines. If it is possible that a vaccine or a treatment will harm or kill you, that is something patients must know. Sadly, they're not being told. VAERS, the Vaccine Adverse Events Reporting System, is the official site where doctors and injured parties are supposed to report every large and small adverse reaction. It may as well not exist. For childhood vaccine reactions, it is documented to be used in under 1% of the cases. I've had many discussions with the Minnesota Department of Health about this. But even with that extreme underuse, as of August 6th, VAERS reported 5,735 deaths in the United States and 212 in Minnesota from the vaccine, and 1,057 serious adverse reactions just in Minnesota. Remember, there is serious underreporting of these adverse reactions. I think it would be headline news that even 100 people in Minnesota died from the vaccine that is safe. For the people who didn't know that they could die or be permanently maimed, the cure was certainly worse than the disease. But nobody told them there were dangers. They trusted the Minnesota Department of Health and Governor Walz and the whole crowd of politicians, coaches, and entertainers who told them it was safe. I read about a mother who encouraged her 18-year-old daughter to get the vaccine. Now the daughter has permanent heart and lung problems. The mother was very sad for her daughter's health conditions. But she is extremely angry that she was never told that those injuries were even a possibility. Informed consent, what happened to it? May God have mercy on that family, and even more on the doctor who failed to tell them the whole story. But it's effective, right? Well, not really. The CDC has just said that in June and July, it was only 53% effective for seniors in nursing homes. Wow, 53%. So now you need a booster, they say. But the reality is that new studies are showing that having had COVID provides massive protection without any risk from the safe vaccine. Quality studies from Israel and Emory and Cleveland hospitals and others are demonstrating this. So it's really not safe, not effective, and you probably don't need a booster. Let's talk about conscience. Conscience is the heart of a person, their deep core, not taken lightly by that person. It is one of the few things we actually own. So here you are today, joining thousands of doctors, nurses, health professionals, parents, students, clerks, and citizens all across Minnesota who want their free conscience back. You are here today because you believe you get a say in your healthcare decisions. And you don't want your employer or your college to make you lose your career or educational choices just because you have a conscientiously held belief. So I am not anti-vax, but I am absolutely pro-informed consent. Period. Governor Walz, Commissioner Malcolm, Minnesota Department of Health, tell the people the real risks and their benefits, and let them choose. But that data is being withheld, ignored, minimized, and even trivialized. We are not being told the whole story. Employers are believing the vaccines are safe and effective. They think they're doing a good thing, but they have been misled. It's time to tell the truth about the risks. It is time to let Minnesotans make their own healthcare decisions. It's time to end the vaccine mandates, especially since they are based on false safety and false effectiveness claims. Commissioner Malcolm has been the face of the Minnesota COVID response. She has told us over and over how safe and effective these vaccines are. She and her department have failed to tell the whole story. They have misled doctors, health systems, colleges, employers, the public, and the press, repeating over and over just how safe and effective those vaccines are. Hey, reporters, it's time for you and the press to do a little investigative reporting about the dangers of vaccines. And not just accept the platitudes from Minnesota Department of Health. Governor Walz, Minnesota Department of Health, Commissioner Malcolm, tell the truth and people will believe you. Hide the truth and people lose trust. That is where we are now. It is time for action. Number one, we are all in this together. We have to stick together. If you've been injured by a vaccine, please let me know. Call me at 612-245-3764 or email my Senate email, 612-245-3764. You don't have to be invisible anymore. Number two, and this is very difficult for me personally, I believe Commissioner Malcolm should be removed as a commissioner by the Senate in the upcoming special session, unless the governor will agree to change Minnesota law to allow for freedom of conscience and allowing the people to choose to vaccinate or not. We've been working on some very reasonable legislation to close loopholes in current law that don't allow for conscience. That's a very good starting point for a law change. But let me explain something. Someone calling for Commissioner Malcolm to step down or be removed is not new. Someone like me calling for that is new. She is my friend. I have defended her. I've known her for over 20 years. I have resisted calls for her removal until now, despite many voices calling for that. But I'm not defending her anymore. I'm not defending her anymore. It seems the only language the governor understands is the removal of another commissioner. The governor has opined that 20% will not be vaccinated. That is despite his best efforts to persuade, control, and even bribe people to get the vaccine. My advice, let them be. Leave them alone. Don't take their jobs away. Don't take their careers. Don't make them violate their country. It is time for a truce, Governor Walz. You keep my friend Dan Malcolm as your commissioner. Just give people back their health freedom. Give the people back their consciences. God bless us, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, guys, let's be kind, okay? Let's be polite, okay? Let people speak, let them say what they want to say. We are here to stand in solidarity, not to bring each other down for some, difference of how to do things. So, our next speaker is the amazing Twyla Braves. Twyla is the head of the Citizens Council for Health Freedom. definitely seen her testifying at the Capitol many times, and we're so happy to have her here. Welcome, Vice.
Well, thank you for inviting me, and what a wonderful crowd that we have here. Thank you for taking out of your day to come and speak up for freedom. It's going to take more than today, but what a wonderful sight here. So I have a question for you. How do you spell freedom? F-R-E-E-D-O-M. Freedom. We must never give up our right to freedom. We must tell everybody that freedom is what this country is all about. So again, my name is Twyla Graves. I run Citizens Council for Health Freedom, and I've been fighting for patient and doctor freedom for more than 2 decades. I'm an emergency nurse by training, but this has been my passion for the last 25 years, full time. So everything I'm going to tell you, you can find in patienttoolbox.org. Patienttoolbox.org. So just keep that as a resource. Just click on coronavirus, and anything that I say, you'll be able to find there. Okay, so this issue is not new to our organization. Because what you probably don't know, because everybody was in a flutter, reasonably so, after 9/11, is that the CDC counts 5 weeks after 9/11 with the Model State Emergency Health Powers Act. And they ask every state to sign it, or they make it law, and to put the Department of Health in power whenever there was a declared emergency. So in 2002, we spent the entire legislative session making sure that you would not be charged with a misdemeanor for refusing vaccination, treatment, testing, and examination. And that's why today you do not have a misdemeanor yet attached to your name. So over the years, in many issues, we've watched corporations collaborate to do the government's bidding, as they are today, such as health plans for all, privacy for none, and one-size-fits-all treatment protocols, which is why you don't have access to ivermectin. You don't have access to hydroxychloroquine because it's not listed in the protocol. So, what is freedom in medicine, freedom in the exam room, and freedom at the hospital bedside? I'll tell you. It's the right of patients and doctors to work together freely for the benefit of the patient, the only purpose of the entire healthcare system, without violating conscience, ethics, or bodily integrity, and with the patient's consent. Consent. And you are, whether you're one of those places, as soon as you enter anywhere where there's a needle with vaccine in it, you are a patient, and consent is required. So without the patient's consent, it is battery. It's a crime. And in the case of mandated COVID-19 shots, it's also medical experimentation on involuntary subjects. We are in a global experiment, and it's dangerous to lives and to freedom. In today's world of lies, deception, coercion, and verbal flip-flopping, which you've seen from Fauci time and again, it's hard to know who or what to believe. But what's very clear is that we should not be believing the FDA, the CDC, the President, the Vice President, the Governor, or the Minnesota Department of Health. The time for listening to government officials is over. Most people, 99%, are not in danger of death from COVID. And many of the people who died from COVID, not with, didn't have to die. There were early treatments. There are early treatments for COVID-19, but there's a virtual ban on even mentioning what they are, let alone providing them to patients. All over the world, ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine are being used to prevent COVID-19 infections and keep COVID patients alive. Many of them never ended up near a hospital. So for instance, Indonesia has ordered 14 million doses for their people. And Dr. Danello in India, he's from the St. Louis Park, he has treated 6,000 patients. Only 55 are being hospitalized, and only 50 all died. All of those have died from He is ivermectin. The doctor of So the injection forces your body to make COVID spike protein, the dangerous part of the virus. And there are many adverse reactions to the spike protein. It's not actually the spike protein circulating in your blood. How much is it for 15 antibodies in your blood? Where does it start? Where does it end? It's a fear. We've got the largest cohort of long-haul COVID patients. The people who have survived COVID, but they're decimated, they're debilitated, they're still dealing with symptoms months and months later. But guess what else they're treating? They're treating people who have never had COVID, but they have the spike protein from the vaccine. Now they're very successful in treating them. So don't forget, Chronic COVID Treatment Center, 100 doctors nationwide in the network. All right. So the vaccines target only the spike of the virus, whereas natural immunity protects you from the entire virus. Thus, the vaccinated are still getting COVID and spreading COVID and dying from COVID. Life is filled with risk. Freedom gives you the right to choose your risk. Whether that's the risk of the virus or the risk of the injection. You get to choose. The government and its corporate collaborators don't want you to have that choice, including hospitals. They don't want you to know about the risks of the COVID shot or the benefits of early treatment. They want you afraid and compliant. Will you comply? Will you obey? We bow to the coercion. As you all know, coercion is not consent. So we have done two things to help increase awareness and build resistance. One of them is the billboard. Don't be bullied. Make an informed choice. Right now it's up in Elk Rapids, Idaho, Wisconsin, and Texas. And then the second thing is we have online resources, which are on this handout. A bunch of our special pages for early treatment, for legal resources, and for all the information we think you need to know about the vaccine and the virus. And again, they're at patienttoolbox.org, coronavirus. So let me just draw your attention to covidlegal.org. That's one of the pages, covidlegal.org. You will find ways to say no, to be persuasive. But first and foremost, don't resign. Make them act. They want you to act. This is a game of chicken. Make them blink first. Don't resign. And if you're a student, consider a gap year and earning more money towards that very pricey college education. It's good to realize that the corporations want to keep you. The colleges want to keep you. So make them take the first step to get rid of you, and then you actually have a cause of action. So don't be the one who takes the first step. All right, so just say no. We must not let them win on this, or this will not be the last injection that you are required to put into your body against your will for the public good. And all on behalf of public health. This will not be the end. So one more time. Do you have a right to make an informed choice?
Yes!
Will you bow to the coercion?
No!
Will you comply?
No!
Obey?
No!
Will you fight against medical tyranny for the future of freedom in this country? Will you let them... Will you let them win?
No!
Will you fight to win?
Yes!
Thank you very much. So the last thing I'm going to say, because I just want you to know, is that Scott Atlas, the one who was with Trump to fight against Fauci, is going to be at our annual event on September 9th. And so you can go to our website, you can find it on here. If you want to hear from somebody who fought Fauci by telling the truth, come join us. Thank you so much.
Thank you all so very much. I really appreciate it. I wonder one thing, when you walk, I'm not even realize I'm wondering, what is that? You just joined the dangerous club. You're dangerous. 15 months ago, when the riots were happening in Minneapolis, there was no reason to put a fence around the 3rd precinct. Shoot them on, it was just a building. But when you folks come out, you've got to put a fence around the Capitol because you're just too dangerous. You need to know why you're dangerous. You're dangerous because of the folks here that are passionate, the folks from Action for Liberty, you've got a pledge. Over there, you folks have a pledge. You folks have a sign. You folks have a sign. Do you see what's happening? We are all engaged. This can't be about division. This has to be about us saying, one voice, no more. Never again. Our body, our choice. You're absolutely right. Thank you for coming. So let's go back. Why are you dangerous? It's because you have a faith that you will not forsake. You believe in the dream of America. You believe in the dream of your right. That's why we have faith.
Hey.
You have a belief that the family is core. And that someone can't turn you against your family in order for you to be able to keep your job. You see, family trumps a lot of the trivial stuff. And you know that. You've got better things to do than be here today to listen to a Norwegian from Sleepy Eye, Minnesota. But I thank you for coming. Give yourselves a round of applause. You know what else you folks aren't doing? You are not willing to share your kids with the state. You're no kids. You get to choose. You're not going to send them to a place where they're going to be indoctrinated. You're going to send them to a place where they can actually learn math and reading, and they won't see the scores dropping down and down. So that today, we have less than 50% of our students able to learn. That's what you're about. And you know why you're really dangerous? It's because your quest for freedom is unquenchable. You will not stop. You know that from now for 15 more months, every day you've got to touch people. Touch people with your pledges. I personally have decided I'm not signing pledges because by the time I become governor, I'd have 500 of them signed. But I will tell you how I stand on the positions. And I want to tell you about this thing called fear formula. You understand the fear formula, and you're still hanging in there. You're still willing to join the club of the dangerous. Fear formula. The F stands for frighten people, exaggerate things, then accuse someone, then repeat it, just like a washing in a drying sheet. Repeat and rinse. Go to the formula, fabricate a lie, and push it out everywhere, and ostracize anybody who disagrees with you. And then ridicule someone who doesn't go along with what you want. Don't listen to their message, ridicule them. And then we go to the M, manipulate the facts. The media is terrific at this. And then the U, promise utopia. And whatever you do, lead light in the game so that you won't be criticized. And lastly, the A stands for applaud yourself for things you didn't do. That's the fear formula that's going on all around us, and Dr. Fauci, I think, created it, and you don't care, you're still here. Thank you. So you become members of the Dangerous Club, and I want to tell you where it all started. Do you remember a person named William Tell? 700 years ago. He came into a community and he said, you gotta kiss the ring. You gotta bow to the hat. And this Swiss strong person said, no, I don't do that. I know who I bow to, and it's not that hat on stage. So he was brought before the magistrate.